So welcome back to the Gear Shift crew, and today we've got, well, Shaun, and it's actually about your car in particular.
It is indeed.
Tell us about what your car is.
I have a 1998 Mercedes-Benz E430. So it's got a 4.3 litre V8.
Amazing. Amazing. It's a brilliant car. I love it.
It is great. It's arguably one of my favourite cars I've ever had or ever driven in, actually.
Yeah. Brilliant car. So, yeah, do you want to get on to the video? That was an
interesting
one.
Well, it was.
So, yeah.
Let's just start with actually how spectacular weather it was.
It was, I think, the best weather we've ever had for any video ever.
It was definitely the best. And I feel like we had nearly the best place as well. We were literally on the water. We had the beautiful sunlight.
Yep.
Really, really nice, clear day. We had the car was looking perfect. I had it cleaned just before.
Yep.
And it's probably one of my favorite days to ever shot. And that was my car too, which also makes it better, but it was great.
So that day started with, well, you picked me up. I think you were working for a while, for all of the morning. I think you were quite busy. Then you came up to pick me up and had all the gear ready. And you were like, Conor, the car's filthy, so let's go and clean it. So we went down to the wee cheap area. Or the
went to Euro car wash.
That was it. Not the best place. And when we were getting it washed, the wee thing that runs across the top of your car actually broke off as they were cleaning it.
I mean, every time you go to those car washes, they always have something break.
Yes.
I remember having my Porsche as well. They blew the clear coat off the door handle. Yeah. There's always something. You got to take it somewhere proper, like Geo Reflections. They do really, really good work.
Absolutely.
And that's when
Love
you start
them.
sending my cars in the future. Just a quick hint for you, Jeff. Sponsorship.
But yeah, so we got the car cleaned up. Then we headed off up to Glenarm, just up the side it. Now
that's actually quite weird, because we filmed our previous two videos in Glenarm as well.
Well, not our previous two, but the MX-5
and GTIR.
Well, not the GTIR. We filmed it in my garage.
Yeah, but we'd filmed some shots down there.
Occasional shots. Okay, I know what you mean. But so when we arrived there, we got everything set up. We did the B-roll immediately. That was the first thing.
Which I think was definitely the smart decision, because as we were like doing
it,
the sun was starting to set right at the end because of someone's focus.
Now we'll get onto that. We'll get.
Now see if you focused. Would be better.
Okay, right. Enough with the shite talking.
Fight me.
So we got all the B-roll done. That went fine. Then we went to record it. Now, the first recording we did with it.
What happened, Conor?
No, the first recording, I remember I had my sunglasses up, but it was starting to come down and it was so bright, and I had to look right into the sun because you were shaded. You were all good, but I wasn't.
I was.
So then I was like, I can't do this. So we stopped halfway through recording that. Then we went on to a second take, and I put my sunglasses down, and I didn't have focus.
Yeah, the entire video was shot out of focus.
And
so what do we have to do?
Completely on me. We had to record it again 3 times in a row.
I know.
You were thrilled about that, weren't you?
I mean, if you watch to the end of the video, you can actually see the cameo of me going, no!
Yes, I know, because you were so annoyed. I put that at the end because...
I mean, we filmed it 3 times.
Yep.
I think actually that's the only video we've ever filmed 3 times.
I think it's the only video we've ever filmed twice.
No,
not even 3.
Should the focus, you had to film the focus multiple
times. I know, but
times.
Usually when we interview anyone, it's just do it once, done.
Yeah, usually one take. We do it pretty well, which is actually pretty good, actually. But then again, we usually have someone behind the camera watching.
True.
When we do it, we both on camera, it's kind of hard.
Can't really monitor the cameras.
Like now.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's just you and me in a room.
Yes, in a room with people driving past just staring at us.
Yeah. Anyway.
Hi, boys! Anyway.
Shush, you farm you.
Hi, bye. Anyway. I really enjoyed the video, and you've actually used the footage. You've got some really, really, really nice B-roll of that car.
I did.
It's close to the M5 in my opinion. It's just a really, really good B-roll.
Yes. Now, that car, I love it. Let's just get on to how brilliant that car is.
Yeah.
So that car. Well, actually, do you want to talk about the stories behind that, or do you want to?
Yeah.
Actually, no. We'll talk about the specs about it.
Okay,
so it's a 4.3 litre Mercedes-Benz V8. What's the engine code?
It's an M113 engine. Now, for anyone who knows those, they're rarely reliable engines.
Yeah.
You had multiple variations of the M113. So that's the M113 4.3 liter. You had the 5 liter V8 from the S500 video, which we filmed. And then there is the 5.5 liter engine, which is the E55s and stuff like that. But super reliable engine. It's got
Brilliant.
actually 16 spark plugs. So it's got 2 spark plugs per cylinder. It's got a coil pack per cylinder. It's just fantastic. It's super reliable and it never gives me any trouble. The only ever time I had any issue was when after the car had been sitting for about 6 or 7 years, we had to replace the fuel pump, the crankshaft sensor. Sorry. Yeah, the crankshaft sensor. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that kind of gets on to the story about it. Like,
Yeah.
who you are the second owner of that car?
Yeah, so I'm the second owner of the car, and the history that I was told about the car was that the previous owner had bought it for his wife, and she used to do loads of commuting. I think she was a doctor or something like that there. The car's originally from the mainland, so who knows why, or maybe she bought it there and drove it across here. But it had 203,000 miles on it, and unfortunately, due to age and people had, the previous owners had passed away, and the car has been sold. There was an issue with the crankshaft sensor. It had actually sheared off when, I don't know who was trying to fix it. Could have been 10 years ago. Could have been just before I bought it. But the previous fella who was selling it to me, I think it was a grandchild or something, the crankshaft sensor had broken and he couldn't get it out and he couldn't fix it. So the car wasn't running. The fuel pump had seized. So he kind of just sold it to me as nearly scrap value. I bought the car, got the crankshaft sensor bored out with actually a hole saw. Yeah, we used the hole saw and we got it out. Because the crankshaft sensor's got the sensor itself,
Yep.
and then around it's plastic. So we just bored the plastic out, and then it actually just dropped through, which is fantastic. Worked really well.
Sweet.
Bit of a make a plan job, but it worked well. It wouldn't come out any other way. And without taking the gearbox out, we didn't really want to do that. But yeah, we got that out. We got the fuel pump replaced, and after that day, it gave me absolutely no issues. The only really minor issue it ever gave me after that was the mass airflow sensor. What happened was it was just old and there was maybe a bit of an issue, and the car would drive, there'd be no issues, but it would just be very underpowered over 3,000 RPM, nearly like a lymph mode. But we got the sensor replaced. I had a spare one from my previous car because I had a second one of those at the time.
Yep.
And never given me ever an issue since.
Now that was your first V8, the one you had previously for that.
Yeah.
So you bought that, and then you bought this E-Class to basically donate all the parts over to this one, sort of.
Yeah, so the story behind that is I bought a Mercedes CLK, also the M113 engine, and I bought it for £400 back in the day. You can't buy much these days, or really then, for that price.
Better get a pint of milk for that.
Yeah, so I bought the CLK 430, and the previous owner was a mechanic, and he'd done a bit of work to the car. He was kind of doing some things, but really he'd only messed the car up as far as he'd touched it. He had just covered up oil leaks. Not like there was major ones, but he just covered them up. Where there was rust, he covered it up and actually used electrical, cabling to hold it together, and he just body puttied over it. So if there was rust, he just tied it together with cable ties, covered up with putty, and put a black wrap over it just to kind of like make it disappear. Then he also did the exhaust. He welded directly onto the engine. The exhaust, right?
Yep.
Which obviously is a major pain in the neck to get off. But he used galvanized water piping, so it was incredibly heavy. And galvanizing is quite awkwardly difficult to weld. You have to, first of all, grind it all off, which he didn't do. So there was about 1,000,001 holes. And it was just looked absolutely awful. I've got some photos. I'll have to show you them at some point. But it was just a really, really bad condition. And I took the car and I was going to restore it because, my first ever V8, I was going to be sentimental about it. But took the car, started working on it, started restoring it, and, took the sill off. Just got worse. Everything just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse. But before I'd had the chance to start working on the car and get it stripped, I was needing to just buy some spares, just have some random bits and bobs lying around. So I actually managed to find the E430, which is the one we're talking about in the video. And because it was a non-runner, I was like, okay, if it doesn't run, it doesn't make a huge difference. Most of the parts are the same. Same engine, same gearbox, same diff. A lot of the panels are very similar. So I'll be able to use that there as a donor car. But when I found the car and actually went down and had a look at the car, it was in such good condition. The paint was perfect. It was very, very little rust on it. Besides the car not running, it was in immaculate condition.
Yeah.
And, I thought it would really be a sin to destroy such a nice car to, fix another car. So what I actually did was decided, I'm going to keep both. I'm going to keep the E-Class, fix the issues it had with the fuel pump and the crankshaft sensor. And what I would do is then just find another one to fix the CLK. But, time is unforgiving, and bigger projects and bigger deadlines and stuff came up, and I had to, unfortunately, say goodbye to the CLK. I sold it, and I actually never sold it. I traded it for a laptop. And, that's where the story of the silver laptop comes around.
Oh, that one?
Yeah.
Oh, we've never used that, do we?
I mean, we've used it a good few times. We've used it in some of our other videos on our other channel, but, I do use it sometimes. I still have it, and I use it at the house now.
Fair enough. Well, that's very good.
But that's the story behind it, yeah. Just needed the space, and you needed the space and didn't have the time to restore it. It's a pity, and I wonder what... Yeah. I think the fellow who bought his name's Devon. I wonder what he's actually done with it. I'm curious. He has a TikTok account, so it's on TikTok if anyone wants to find it. It's a silver SLK with black bonnet and black trimmings.
Devon.
And black wheels.
Okay. Well, shouting you out, Devon. Where's your E-Class? What, SLK?
CLK.
Where's your CLK at?
CLK. The tragic story of my CLK is that I bought the car to restore it, and honestly, I never got the time to fix it. And unfortunately, I wouldn't be surprised if it's been scrapped. I love that car, and I really wish, if anyone could find it, I'd love to have it back.
Well, we know what you're like with cars.
I mean, I have a small collection, so...
What are you at the minute?
I'm down to...
Four
cars. Actually, 5 cars now. Well, technically, I have 6 cars on my name. 6 cars, yeah.
2 vans?
No, so currently, as it stands, I have a Ford Focus in my name. I have an E430, of course, the E270, the S350, Corsa VXR, and Mazda RX-8.
And the turbo van.
No, that's my business name.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, fair enough. But anyway, getting back to the E-Class. So let's just talk about the condition of that car. Now, you have used it a lot. Now, it's not the cleanest at the minute.
Yeah, well, I bought it 203,000 miles.
Yeah.
Now I think it's got 222,000 miles. So it's got about 10,000 miles a year. Not too bad.
Let's just stop you there. That's really high mileage. And it runs like it's brand new.
Yeah, so it's really, really high mileage. But then again, it's a Mercedes from like the good era. The engines were still good. It's naturally aspirated, doesn't have turbos, doesn't have a supercharger. Yep. So it's incredibly reliable. It's got 16 spark plugs, twice as many as you need, really, if you think of it that way. Super reliable car, never given me any issues. Always started, no matter the weather, no matter how long it's been sitting for. Just starts and drives. Beautiful car. Now, 220,000 miles, 222,000 miles, it's got its issues. Now, obviously, someone sat in the car for a lot of time. There's been a lot of wear and tear in the car. But it just shows how well that car is held up and how well it was actually manufactured and made.
Exactly.
The center console is probably the only issue with that car, is where you rest your elbow.
Yeah.
It's just worn into the actual cover. But realistically, everything else is all beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, barely yet. There's not a lot of rust on it. Now, I mean, there is a bit of rust, but there's really not.
Well, in the UK, obviously, it's salt roads.
Yeah.
Now, because of, being busy with work and other, predicaments, I've actually been driving the car a lot. Well, really, it's been my daily driver for about a year now, actually.
Close to a year. I'd say about 8 months. Something like that.
It's a year now.
Okay, yeah.
I think, it's a year now because the S-Class, I stopped driving the S-Class in end of February last year. And, just brought the S-Class out again. But I drove the E-Class for the entire year, and those cars are notoriously awfully bad for rust. So, yeah, it's been on salt roads, it's been a lot of bad weather. It's I can start seeing the rust. I put on the lift. There's 1 or 2 rusty spots, and I'd like to actually get them done before, have any future issues of having to scrap it. So
Yeah,
want to keep it in good condition.
keep that as a time capsule because that is an amazing car.
Yeah, it's great.
Because it's the avant-garde, because of the rarity of it.
So there's only 555 in the UK market.
Ever made.
That's what there was.
Ever made, yep.
So very, very few. And when I first bought the car, I think it was 98 at the time that was still on the road. And that's obviously got less and less and less and less.
I think we're down to like the 70s, nearly 60s.
Yeah.
I think I last checked it's 74 left.
Yeah, and when I checked that, 98 was E430 in general, that entire generation.
Yeah.
Now, I looked and I managed to actually go and check my car in the color it is, the pre-facelift, and the engine. It's the only one that I could find.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very, very rare car, and I've never seen another one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in groups and forums, and that's the only one I've ever seen.
Now, I have never seen. Oh, actually, I have seen that same generation of E-Class, but they're always 2-liter, either petrol, diesels, and the most interesting one I saw was a 2.2-liter petrol compressor.
E220 compressor, not a compressor.
It's
compressor.
compressor.
Compressor, yeah, it's basically the Mercedes term for supercharger. So,
So, yeah.
supercharged 2.2 liter or 2.3, whatever.
But still, yours is the best one.
Yeah, well, you've got 285 brake horsepower with 400 newton meters of torque, which is, it's more than what you need in majority of cars.
Yeah.
You can overtake nicely, you can go quick. Really, the only major drawback of that car there is the fact that it is incredibly thirsty.
Incredibly.
Incredibly.
Well, not as bad as your RX Seat, but still very bad.
Yeah, well, so I was driving this daily, and over the year, roughly, it works out to about 8 miles to the gallon. And if I was doing a really nice long trip, so I went down in December over Christmas time.
Yep.
My sister flew out and she came to visit us. We drove down to Dublin, which is about 100 odd miles one way and 100 odd miles back, so roughly 200 miles. I averaged 18 miles to the gallon with cruise control on, sitting at just speed limits, so 70, 75 mile per hour at 100 miles, and averaged 18 to the gallon. So it is quite a thirsty car, but V8 noises. That's all that matters.
It's so good. Now, ever since you swapped from the E-Class back over to the S-Class,
Yeah.
there's more torque in the S-Class, that's for sure. And
So the S-Class
yeah.
is sitting at, I think it's 620 newton meters of torque. So you've got another 220 newton meters of torque, but you lose around, there's 30 less brake horsepower.
yeah, you
And it's
can
a heavier
definitely
car.
feel the more torque though.
Yeah, so
It can put the power down.
yeah, with the weight, it's also got thicker tires.
Yeah.
It's also got air suspension, sports, better traction control, all that stuff. And the fact that it's got more torque and it's a heavier car, you can definitely feel it definitely gets moving quicker, but it doesn't carry the speed as well. So, you can nearly launch the S-Class, where the E-Class you can't launch it, it just loses traction. But the E-Class definitely pulls
Spins
a lot
tires.
stronger.
Yeah.
It rarely pulls. Like, it's probably the most brutal car, which is kind of weird to say because we've been in a lot faster cars, but it's the most brutal car in acceleration wise. It feels the most brutal.
Yes.
And I think it goes back to the same thing of it's not the quickest car in the world, but it's also not the slowest car in the world. It's like a happy medium where it's slow enough that it feels incredibly quick, but it is incredibly quick at the same time.
Yeah.
For what it is, you got 285 horsepower. I'm talking about the S-Class here at 255.
Yep.
You got 285 horsepower and, it pulls like anything. It's just 1,800 kilos. So it's not awfully heavy, but it is awfully heavy. And the fact that you have the V8 that just drops a gear and it just engages and it just feels like it's pulling like a truck. It just pulls.
It's so good.
And the great thing about it is it's not like it's turbocharged or supercharged supercharged not really, but it's the fact that it's naturally aspirated and it's not turbocharged. It just pulls the entire rev range. With turbo cars like the S-Class, I think the S-Class is over just over 4,000 RPM is a red line. It's like 4,200 RPM.
Well, that's because it's a petrol.
Diesel.
Sorry, no, the E-Class is a petrol. That's why, because it can rev higher.
So the E-Class, I think, pulls over 6,000 RPM, and it just pulls the entire range. Like, the S-Class, whenever I put my foot flat on the accelerator, it gears down, and you got 1,500 RPM maximum to pull.
Yep.
Where the E-Class, you can put your foot flat on the accelerator, it gears down, you got nearly 3,000 or 4,000 RPM to pull. It's just incredibly quick. And it just never gives up.
Well, it's also got a lot less gears.
Yeah,
so it's a 7-speed in the S-Class?
Yes, S-Class is 7-speed, and if you want to be... some people say the E-Class is a 4-speed with an overdrive. Some people say it's 5-speed, but yeah.
Yeah.
The E-Class is great.
Love
and
it.
the S-Class is great. Mercedes is great. I love Mercedes. I'm a Mercedes fan.
Yeah. What? So you own 3 Mercedes at the minute. Your family owns 4?
Yeah, so well, technically I own 3 Mercedes, yeah. The only cars allowed in our driveway are Mercedes-Benz. We have the SLK. We have an ML 350 or 370. We've got the E270. We've got the E430. And we've got the S350.
Some lineup.
I know when everyone drives past them, think, geez, they own all Mercedes. Little do they know we have vans too. And Porsches.
And a Corvette.
And Fords.
And Fords?
Yeah, Ford Transit. And a Ford Focus. And Morris's. And Mazdas. And Vauxhalls.
You own most of the cars.
I know we have a Toyota as well. Do you know that?
Yeah, the MRS.
Oh, I forgot about that. We've got a Toyota forklift as well. 1970s as well. It's a classic.
Oh, I know. That thing's fun.
I forgot we had an MRS.
You forgot?
You know, okay, hold on. Okay, we've got, I think in the family, just over 20, 21 cars.
What?
Like, it's like a new experience when you find a car. This jacket sat in a car for a year.
Yeah.
It has been recently found because I haven't been in the car for that long.
There's a video of Jeremy Clarkson explaining about how he can't understand barn finds. He said, why would someone have a car and then just leave it in a barn for ages? And then it shows him with, like, I think it was a Range Rover that he just left and was like, oh, yeah, I remember that car.
I understand it, yeah. So I have a car that's in storage, and to be honest with you, 99% of the time I forget I have it. It's a Mazda RX-8. And the only reason I ever reminded I have it is because you're like, I rarely want to go for a drive in that car.
Yeah.
Please take me for a drive in that car.
Well, it's not even that. I just like, there's a couple of issues with that car.
Yeah, but
And I would love to fix that because that would be great content on the channel.
yeah, and the thing is, we've got a Morris, I think it's Morris Minor in a barn. We've got a Mazda RX-8 in a barn. We have a van and a Ford Transit van, a recovery truck as well. You've never seen them, have you?
No, I have not.
We've been friends for years. He's never seen them. We have actually cars. Actually, we've got more than 21 cars.
Yeah, all in South Africa.
Yeah, we've got some more cars in South Africa as well.
Yeah, I know. What's that truck that your brother talks about?
Toyota Land Cruiser 70 series. Basically, if you think of ISIS, right, driving in the back of a truck, big pickup truck.
Where are you going with this?
It's one of those. You know, like
Yeah,
the UN drive.
I know,
one of those
I know.
white Toyota Land Cruisers. We got one of those. They're awesome.
But like, I think that thing's bulletproof. Like, what was the story? Like, your brother went to give an oil change, and it was literally like honey.
Oh no, that's a different car.
Was it? Or
That's an Isuzu.
what was that?
Isuzu pickup truck.
That was it. That thing.
Yeah. So, well, that's back in South Africa, but that car has clocked the gauge twice. It's done over 2 million miles.
Wow.
In the actual dial that clicks.
Yeah.
It's actually worn out.
Oh, it does not move anymore.
It wore out from doing that many miles. The gauge clocks twice. I think it clocked twice, and it's like at 400,000 or 500,000 already again. It's had 2 new engines. That's just incredibly, like, it's just incredible.
Your brother, and what was the story about the oil change?
So, I think it was,
You hadn't changed the oil in like
it
a
hadn't
really
been
long
changed
time.
in about 6 years.
Yep.
And the oil had actually gone into, well, this is just purely a workhorse. It's for the business back there. But this just gets driven around and, pure workhorse. The oil had gone very, very thick and nearly slimy. Like was a, like slime.
Mm-hmm.
And still started, still drove, no issues.
How?
Just the magic of an Isuzu.
Of a Toyota. Was it a
It's
Toyota?
Isuzu, man.
Sorry, my mistake.
Isuzu.
My mistake.
Isuzu pickup truck. It's actually I think it's a 1980s Isuzu pickup that had a facelift to be modern in like the late 90s. Right, so it looks like a 90s one, but it's actually from the 80s.
Okay.
It's got different color interior panels because the doors,
It's got a different engine.
different engines, so they've been replaced. The doors, right, have worn out. So I had to get new doors before the doors ran out. That's incredible. That just explains how worn that thing is.
I'm guessing. Have you had it from new?
No, I think we've had it for about 40 years there now. No, we had it for about easily 20 years.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's a great car.
Amazing.
Never gives us any issues.
That is brilliant.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting a bit sidetracked here. E-Class.
Going back to the E-Class, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the E-Class is quite a rare car. It was only 98 last time I checked, the E430s. But even like going on like Facebook Marketplace and stuff, it's incredibly hard to find one.
You can't see one.
I
They're
found
all-
one
they're all-
about 6 or 7 weeks ago
Okay.
here in Northern Ireland. Looked awful. Some guy had just used it for like drifting, and he bumped and crashed it. So it just shows you people bought the cars when they were cheap.
Yep.
And they just wrecked them.
They're
So-
they're not really great for drifting either because it's got a
well,
what's it,
people
open
just
diff?
it's an open differential, but people weld the diffs.
True.
So if you weld the diff, makes it easier to drift. But if you're a pro, you can drift it anyway.
Okay. Not trying to toot my own horn or anything.
I have never drifted in my life.
Nah, you're not good.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah. So the E-Class. So the E-Class. Okay. So the E-Class, I'm going to keep it, and I don't plan on selling it. That's going to be like a kind of car I'm going to keep as a collector's.
Absolutely.
And the fact that it's such a reliable car. I want to rebuild the engine at some point in time.
Oh, do you?
Just
Okay.
purely just give it a refresh. Like
Yes.
just before any issues come up,
Kind of like what your dad did.
Exactly. Before we have any future problems. I've got a new exhaust there as well.
Yes.
So I've got new exhaust, got new discs, new pads, new sensors. I need to get new tires on it. The alloys are fantastic condition. Never been scraped or scratched, which is quite surprising because I think they're original. They've never been
I know.
bumped.
And it was.
But I think the fact that it's got such high sidewalls
Yeah.
makes a difference because if you hit a curb, you hit it with the tire, not the rim. Which a lot of cars, like even the S-Class, I actually bumped when I first got it, I think it was the first week or so, Mom said, "Oh no, you got loads of space." And I pulled in and actually scratched the alloy, which is sad. And that's got huge rims and huge sidewalls.
Yeah, that's really
But-
annoying.
I think I think Mercedes were fantastic. The only thing I wish Mercedes did was it just kept the rust from they just coated the cars proper. Do you know what I really don't like about the E-Class?
Go on.
Is the fact that it has two different kind of headlights, two different color headlights.
You don't like that?
Well, it's got the yellow and then it's
Yeah.
got the blue. Personally, I don't like
That's
that.
a good point. Well, actually, I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it. What's the number one thing you always complain about the E-Class?
It's not fast enough.
Nope.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
No cup holders.
Yeah. Okay, so I was actually doing a bit of research into this, right? And apparently in Germany, it's a lot harder to actually have a fast food restaurant. Now, I'll tie this into the video in a second, right? But if you have if you have a McDonald's or you have a KFC, it's very hard to get a drive-through to be successful. Now, reason being apparently is because a lot of German people are very against people eating or drinking in their car.
Why?
So it's just a cultural thing.
Right.
So a lot of fast food joints actually don't do very well in Germany when it's a drive-through because people don't like people eating stuff in the car. So
Okay.
that is actually why there is no cup holders in the car because people in Germany don't necessarily like it.
But
They
you
prefer
can.
a trash can, which is
Yeah.
why there's a trash can instead of a cup holder.
That is true. But you can get a cup holder, like a wee, like flimsy one.
It was optional spec.
Yeah.
So you can get them, but there is in the glove box if you really want to be pedantic, but they're not
Yeah.
very useful to be fair.
I know. Not great. But
But no, it's a great car, and I love it. I wouldn't trade it in, and I'm gonna keep it. And
please don't sell it.
yeah, I'm gonna keep it, definitely. But
Yes. But what's the next car we're going to be talking about? Well, actually coming out on the channel.
well, on Friday, the next car is gonna be another Mercedes-Benz. It's an S500. So same engine,
Gents.
M113, but it's the bigger engine liter. So
Yep.
it's 302 horsepower, I think it is.
What? Right. And is it the same? So yours is a 98.
Yeah, that
What was that?
is a 2000 and something, early 2000s.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2002?
I think it was 2000 and something. Early 2000 Mercedes-Benz S-Class.
Immaculate.
Yeah, definitely the tidiest car ever in like the history of cars.
Yeah.
Specifically for the age, that car should be in a museum. It is so
It was-
tidy.
It was amazing.
And all the little bits and bobs worked as well. It was fantastic.
Exactly.
I wouldn't mind buying that car.
Yeah.
It is for sale as well. So.
I actually think it sold.
Oh, did it?
I think it sold.
Well, it was for sale at the time we were filming.
Yes. So.
No, great car. Love it.
Yeah.
Mercedes, you can't go wrong with it.
Oh, you can. Reliable.
Specifically,
that
if you go
engine.
if you go for a V8 Mercedes-Benz, you're pretty much good as gold.
Absolutely.
You know it's going to be reliable.
Absolutely. That V8 of yours, 200,000 miles.
220,000.
God.
220,000 miles.
Do you think you can get it to 500,000?
I mean, yeah, certainly. Just takes a decent bit of driving.
Just
to
like
get that much. But yeah,
I
think the car could definitely do it. The biggest concerns would be obviously rust, and give it a good service, keep it serviced, and the gearbox. I've never serviced the gearbox,
but
it's still original. So
like
got to get serviced.
Now I'm just saying, maybe don't daily drive it. Well, I mean, you can drive it a wee bit, but like
I actually haven't driven it in the last just over a week.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually thinking of doing it tonight, but I was parked in. I was like, I couldn't bother to have it another night. So I'll take it out probably maybe tomorrow or Sunday. I'll take it out for a drive. Become a Sunday car.
Exactly.
So why not?
Brilliant car. Love it.
It's great, and can't wait to be out in it again.
Can't wait.
So, yeah.
Well, that's it. So, you've reached the end of this podcast. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Good night.